Yo, we are back. It's more chill, fuzzy chats as promised after yesterday, and I was kind of hoping that today would be a nice chill stream, and nothing really chaotic or you know critical to speak about. But nope, nope. We had to go there once again. We had to go there once again. This time, instead of players throwing shade at the manager and causing problems, we've now got the takeover process throwing shade at the club. And supposedly, we've got Mike Keegan coming out to talk about the takeover announcement. Supposedly, what was meant to be early next week is now set to be the week after next, and that it's been pushed back yet again. And whether that's true or not, we'll have to see. It's got that sort of feeling to it now, where it's like, according to the news outlets, it's all the deal's all in place, everything's all gets set to go through. All the agreements have been made. All we've got to do is announce the deal. That's all we got to do. But now we're seeing announcements getting pushed back and back and back and back and back and back. And it's like, it feels like there's an air of people not wanting to announce this. And if they don't want to announce this, why? Because I'm sure if, from business interests, you'd want to get this deal wrapped up if the figures are agreed, right? Because most instances, like, if we talk about them trying to sort of delay things as a way of, say, building up suspension or hype or something like that, that makes absolutely no sense why anyone would do it. It wouldn't make any sense. So the same tactic perhaps this useless board likes to impose with player transfers, it wouldn't add up. It wouldn't make any sense as to why they'd want to do the same thing with a takeover of the club, or a massive you know movement of shares, an exchange of shares. um so I don't really understand why, if someone is deliberately holding this deal back, why they would be doing so. I don't think it's anything to do with funds. I don't think it's anything to do with lack of money or wanting to get more money out of the deal, because otherwise there wouldn't be um, the current state of agreements. There wouldn't be that. Um, there would be constant talks about Glazers still waiting to up for bidders to up values and stuff. So I don't think that's really kind of the conversation that's going on right now. It's more of a question mark as to what is the blocking factor here. Why is the takeover being pushed back, or the announcement for said takeover being pushed back? Mama Flossie, good to see you. Hope you're well. Um, just double checked your score real quick, and by the looks of it, Everton have just scored. So that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. Very, very unfortunate. Who scored for Everton? Dwight McNeil. Aye, aye, aye. Newcastle not doing so well this game. I think they released all their energy against Man United last week, and in last weekend rather, and they've left themselves a little bit short against Everton. But yeah, it's a really frustrating situation that we got at the moment. A lot of stop-start nature about this takeover process, so no one really actually knows what the deal with this is. Like, why is this happening? Um, it was meant to be something happening early next week. But yeah, it was meant to be happening early next week, supposedly, as everything seemed to be in place. But now Mike Keegan's come to say that it's not going to be that. It's actually going to be another week, still. Not going to just be about the takeover today. We can also delve a little bit into other topics as well. If there is anything that you would like for me to discuss or give my viewpoints on, do be sure to pop them in the chats. Pop it in the chats, and we can have an analytical conversation about it. If of course I don't opt to bore you. Um, of course. But other news regarding the takeover or people involved with the takeover, supposedly, according to Pornstein, according to him, Sir David Brailsford and Jean-Claude Blanc met with MUFC executives today as Sir Jim Ratcliffe's acquisition of 25% of the club edges closer. So, if that is a bit of news to be believed, if that's to be believed, then that does, solidify I guess any doubts that this deal actually happening whatsoever. And I'll address my concerns as to why I've got that thinking of why, like, what is the deal actually happening? Because I see a lot of people starting to question it as well, where it feels like it's almost it gives that little taste of the nature of someone somewhere has managed to bait everyone into thinking something's happening, but before the truth comes out, they want to keep people biting on for as long as possible by keep constantly selling. Oh yeah, it's going to happen. It's just not going to happen this week. The complications happened. It was meant to be this week, but they pushed it back to next week. And then you get to next week, and then they say, "Oh, there's been even further complications. Something's happened. Somebody who's driving to the meeting to get the deals signed and put pen to paper. A street market seller flooded the road with watermelons, and they couldn't drive through it, so they had to hold it up. And now they will return to put pen to paper next month." And it's like it gets that sort of impression now, where it's like maybe the cynic just wants to say maybe there isn't a deal in place, and someone is just baiting everybody the entire football in the entire football sphere. They're just baiting everybody. Maybe someone has literally come off with the heist of the century. I think it would be funny if that's the case, but also kind of depressing. Um, but I don't think realistically that's the case by any means. I think we are very much on the cusp of the 25% acquisition. Um, and the little snippet there from Dave Ornstein would further that perspective. And I'd say, well, I mean, as far as those names that have been dropped, I think Dave Brailsford was a likely candidate to be involved, and Jean-Claude Blanc, if he is the person that's also met with executives, and that is pretty much writing it in in a font as clear as day. Jean-Claude Blanc is going to be the new CEO of Manchester United, and if anything, that report from David Ornstein basically all but confirms it. It would just need to pend the takeover process happening, and I'm interested to actually know if it is going to be between the beginning of the ratification period or the exchange process, which is apparently 6 to 8 weeks, that Jean-Claude Blanc would actually be put in place before the ratification period finishes. So maybe that's what this is angling towards. That if Richard Arnold is leaving at the end of the year, currently Patrick Stewart is in charge of things for the meanwhile. Jean-Claude Blanc could start on the 1st of January. It's possible. He could start work as the new CEO on the 1st of January. It's plausible. And I think if we are to believe what the reports are saying, if we are to believe what's been said from David Ornstein, that Jean-Claude Blanc is basically set to be the guy in charge to replacing people, that those conversations are probably also to do with what Jean-Claude Blanc when he's going to start his role at the club. And obviously, of course, we want to have people like this, Sir Jim Ratcliffe's guys coming in to start work as soon as possible, to start imposing changes, to start slowly getting the structure ready for when the ratification period actually finalizes. So we'll have to see. Everton have just gone 2-0 up. Deary me. Newcastle really not having a good day today. Second half for Tottenham West Ham has kicked off as well, by the way. Christian Romero on the madness as well. Literally took him all but 11 minutes to get a goal after returning from suspension. So all he needs to do now is just get another straight red card and be suspended for 5 games. And all that good stuff. Cheers, guys. Cheers, everybody. Other good news. Amad Diallo has finally returned to full training with the first team squad. He is getting back to fitness after a knee injury which was sustained in the pre-season tour, which at the time was really unfortunate. It was about the same sort of time that Kobe Mainoo picked up an injury. So being out similar amounts of times, but you know what? It's good news. It's more options for the attacking positions. Does he go into starting positions though? Does he get involved in the matchday squads to be sort of player to rotate with? And if he does start getting picked ahead of Pellistri this soon after returning from injury, then I think we all know what exactly is going to be happening to Facundo Pellistri. I think there's probably going to be him potentially on the exit cards for January. So that's something to look out for. That is something to look out for very, very much. Anthony Herbert, good to see you, man. Big up, Mr. Hot Fuzz. Hope you're well. I'm doing very, very well. I was on a watch along lasting doing the Man United and Chelsea game. Forgot to say Chelsea had nothing to offer in that game. They were lacking. They looked like they were quite tiled. They looked quite tired. We had, and it's so strange to really look at it in contrast from the Newcastle game to this game. Like, it is absolutely from players, from the player performances, effort levels, all of that stuff. There were polar opposites, complete contrast from gutless, spineless performances against Newcastle to, brilliant performances against Chelsea. And after the week of adversity as well, with the media butting heads with the club, with players supposedly butting heads with the manager indirectly by means of using media leaks, and there's little communication channels into the public sphere of conversation. I think the fact is that Ten Hag manages to get the players to actually respond in that way to delivering that kind of a performance. I mean, last night was was a massive, massive, switch up with, with what the players were doing, with how the players were playing, how they were behaving, the effort levels, the energy, but just the desire to actually do all the little jobs on the pitch. Sometimes those jobs where sometimes a player, he might just not go that little bit extra to make sure that he does that role or does that little niggly bit in his role on the pitch. These players last night, they made sure they covered all bases, and I've got a lot of time and a lot of appreciation for players who, they set that example. They do exactly what they get asked to do and what the fans want them to do, and they put in top notch efforts. Now, whether that's something that gets continued, probably not going to happen given the state that we are not really consistent. It's a big opportunity to make it 2 for 2, though. We do have Bournemouth up next at Old Trafford on Saturday. So it's an invitation. Last night was an invitation that in the face of adversity, you can rise up, you can reclaim the mantle, and you can put in a shift. And putting in a shift is what most, if not all, fans of every football club ask their players to do. And Chelsea last night looked like that team that you're not. Well, I say it looked like that team. It was a little bit like team performance wise, was a little bit like what United were doing against Newcastle, which is it's a strange one. It is a strange one, and I think just the drastic turnaround from last week to this week, and I feel like there is a an obvious unification by common people backing the manager now, rather than it being the media reports go out and everyone agrees with the media, like everyone agrees with the players saying, "Oh yeah, the manager's clueless." There's a massive pushback, huge pushback. We've had people pundit wise coming out to say, that's it's a bloody disgrace if those players are leaking. Um, and I just think I think it's a lot more light now that's being shone on those players, where it's like your nonsense that you get up to behind closed doors with who you speak to and about what you speak to them about. And then those conversations that usually, if I have a private conversation, I wouldn't want it out in the public sphere. I wouldn't want it out there having everyone talking about my private conversations. So it would seem like there are legitimate intentions to put the manager's name in a bad light, deliberate intentions to cause damage to the unification of this team. And even with those efforts, it still wasn't enough. The players that started that game for United last night looked like they had something to prove. And they did. They did have something to prove, but it looked like they knew it. They absolutely knew it, and they gave 110%. Chelsea, I mean, good God only knows what their the issues are, or where their heads are at. Those players, where that squad's heads collectively are at. I see there's a lot of people saying that it is absolutely just finished for Chelsea. I see people saying the season's done now. It's officially gone. Now, whether that is true or not, I mean, Pochettino's still relatively early into his reign. I think there's a lot more more work that he has to allowed he has to be allowed to do before we can really sit here and say, yeah, Poch, what are you doing? Where are you going with this? Because he might have one stage completed for what he wants to have done, but he's probably got another 9 stages that he wants to do first before he can assess to see whether he is actually close to where he wants to be or close to actually having Chelsea anything like he would envision making them. So yeah, it's going to be an intriguing watch to see what happens with this Chelsea team and how it does develop over time. Whether it is just, the situation is, providing a lot of clouded judgment, and that maybe better, there is like better causes that are yet to come to light. Um, we'll have to wait and see. West Ham have equalised against Tottenham, by the way. That scoreline is now 1-1, and Everton are apparently 3-0 up. Everton 3-0 up against Newcastle. What on earth is going on today? Where is this Everton team come from? It's just like maybe Everton are just like, we are taking this out on Newcastle after they beat United. Maybe Everton are just doing us a favour. It's football's weird, man. Football's just really, really weird. Um, Chelsea attacking wise was shocking last night. Big up Fuzzy. Big up Wolfang Division. Great to see you, man. Guys, make sure you subscribe to this guy right here. Does a lot of Chelsea content. Puts a lot of Chelsea content out there, as well as I believe it's sports combat or combat sports content as well, if that's the right terminology. But big ups to you, man. Last night, Chelsea, what on God's earth was going on with that team? I thought various elements of your team were good, but the others were just so blatantly poor that you can't really look past them. Like you're finishing in front of goal, barring a Cole Palmer shot, was ridiculously bad, right? Absolutely bad. Your distribution from goalkeeper and defenders passing out into your midfield was some of the worst I have seen ever. Consistently misplacing passes that we keep winning the ball high up the pitch, as high as we were, was mad stuff. Absolute madness. Crazy, crazy stuff. But Everton are a good side. They're a well-drilled side. I'll give them that. They are a well-drilled side. Credit to Sean Dyche for changing, say, the mood in that dressing room, and those players. And if those players beating Newcastle 3-0, that's a massive boost for them. Huge boost. Huge boost. No problems, man. No problems, man. Everton are doing what we needed to finish. But that's the thing. They're doing it against a good side. They're doing it against a very good side. They're not shying away from the challenge. They're up for the fight and they're getting stuck in. Fair plays to them. Real fair plays to them. Smash the likes for the fuzz. Absolutely, people. Make sure you are smashing that like button. It is absolutely free to do, and it does boost the channel's performance very much so, emphatically. So if you are able to do that, that would be absolutely fantastic. Big up Anthony and Mom. Yeah. Big ups to the Mama Flossie and to Anthony Herbert. Two very, very wonderful people. Always a pleasure to have them in the chats. Also, Anthony Herbert subscribed to his channel, Football United, I believe it is the channel name. So make sure that you show all the love and support that you can and spread it like it is Lurpak butter on your morning toast. Spread it. Did you hear today what Ten Hag said? He was told to stay away from United, but he wanted to challenge. Well, yeah, he was told, and it was Louis van Gaal that told him. It was Louis van Gaal that told him to stay away because Louis van Gaal's comments were apparently he said to Eric, like, this guy, please, he's a fantastic manager, but don't go to United. Go to another top club. Don't go to United. That's not a football club. And that's the stance that Louis van Gaal has on Manchester United currently. He believes it's not a football club; it's a commercial club. It's a merchandise brand. It's a merchandising brand. It's not really football. So, at the time, I mean, as much as fans would be sat there saying, "Oh, what the hell? Why would Louis be saying this? Why would he be saying this?" But, I mean, he's not wrong. He's not wrong. He's absolutely right about the state of the club. And some of us sit here and we wonder, why do these managers, if the job is such a poison chalice, why do they keep taking the jobs? And Ten Hag looked at it and thought, well, it might go absolutely, could go absolutely tits up. It could absolutely balls the whole thing up. But it's taking on the challenge and doing the best that you can, because I mean, it's not necessarily going to United. It's not necessarily going to mean the complete end to your managerial career. But yeah, we're gonna have to see how things progress with the club and with this takeover as well. Maybe with the takeover, the 25%, if we start behaving like a football club, the general perception of Manchester United might improve drastically. And you know what? I would be absolutely over the moon if that does come to pass. If we were able to change perceptions. Newcastle are toasted, mate. They've been absolutely barbecued and fried by Everton. Sean Dyche has cooked up a barbecue. He's cooked up a barbecue in the early stages of December. Everyone else gets the meat, and he just takes the charcoals off the fire and starts chewing through those. Man's just built different. He's right. He absolutely is. Our teams. Yeah, it's a weird one. I mean, yeah, Newcastle. It's like Newcastle have just hit another performance like they did against Bournemouth. It's like they've just completely they've hit another one of those kind of weird roadblock games, and it's weird. It's weird, and especially after last game against Manchester United, they were, poor in front of goal, but everything else was, almost perfect. Ridiculously one-sided, but even Stevens against Everton and Everton taking their chances. Not good. Peak Tom. I thought the saying was Pete Tong. It's all gone Pete Tom. No idea. No idea with sayings. Awful tonight, awful. It does look that way. It does look, a 3-0 does look like for bad showing. Like we were talking about last night, how long do you think it will take for United to get back to where they were? Ooh, how long do I reckon? I think given the circumstances that we are not in a position to splash billions upon billions. I mean, even if we had the billions upon billions, which we do have the billions with Sir Jim Ratcliffe. I mean, his personal, loan pool, generates about 60+ billion pounds yearly. So we wouldn't be short on cash. Long story short, we wouldn't be short on cash. But with the way in which Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos like to do their spending, they want it strategized, strategic. They want it structured. They want it. It's like if they want the investment, it's got to make sense to them. It's got to make sense, the investment to them. And maybe facilities won't be drastically improved in the very, very short term. It might take a little bit of time to do so with that. But I think as far as the team is concerned, there's a lot of work that needs to be done with that team. But I think is instilling the right mindset at the club. So everybody that does come in understands what it is they're doing at the club. So if you can get that, then it makes the acquisitions in the future that we make, it fits the bill and it fits the purpose a lot more so than if we sit here talking about signing a superstar for 60, 70, 80, 90 or 100 million pounds on a massive bumper wage, and us sitting then 3 years later with that player walking out on a free, like, oh, he could have been so much better for us. If we can have players that come in that maybe we have a scouting network that identifies targets that would usually go to a Brighton or to an RB Salzburg or Leipzig or a club like that before they get the massive contracts get given to them by the big clubs in Europe. And then we might progress them into those world beaters. But because they're already at a bigger club, we're not in the essence of selling to make more money, because we're already a club that holds a stature that expects greatness, that expects success, and everyone else that that Sir Jim Ratcliffe, Ineos, those guys, they understand that Manchester United needs to be successful. So to me, I don't see Sir Jim Ratcliffe coming in as a way to say, well, I want us to be a selling club all of a sudden. Well, I say that. We don't want us to be a selling. Well, you're going to have to be a selling club first and foremost to get a lot of this deadwood out. Make it a car boot sale, get as many of them out as possible, build the foundations for a strong, a team with a strong character, with good personalities and a willingness to really fight for each other. If you can build that, that's kind of the foundation set, and then you can really tart the place up after that. But if we're at that stage, we've got a lot of the big bumper contracts wages removed from the club. The wage structure is a lot more ideal. It's much better. No financial fair play is trying to look at us for anything at all. We're inside the guidelines, and everything seems to be good. And then we can start really picking the fine fitting players that are your superstars to really complement that team. It's like the superstar is essentially the cherry on the icing of the cake. Done all the hard work with baking it, layering it up, making the icing look good, and then you put the superstar just at the very end. And so it's going to be an interesting watch to see what the roadmap in rebuilding Manchester United is going to be like, and if anything is to be believed about the percentages or the involvements of these percentages. As long as there is no Glazer presence in deciding what goes on with this club sporting wise, I've got no issue with as long as there is a direction and it goes the right way. I've got no issue with anybody else, uh, whether it be you know Dave Brailsford, whether it be John Claude Blanc, whether it be a Paul Mitchell, um, maybe even if Ralph Rangnick were to come back for a technical director's role or something like that. Even if he came back for that, it's interesting. It's going to be really, really interesting. I think the structure is going to be very intriguing um, to really analyze once it's all set in stone. But we have to get there first. Um, Same last night, ugly watch. Yeah, man. It is what it is. It is what it is. Do you think Ten Hag is still the right man for the job? I watched a show today on my lunch break, which I never really do. I never really watch this show, but I watched the overlap because they were talking about the player leaks. They were talking about, with with a new takeover, what people's decisions would be on, Eric Ten Hag. And one thing, like I think it was Gary Neville said that the player leaks, if there are players, actively trying to put a bad name on the manager, or coming out to speak publicly against the manager, or having indirect contact to the public sphere, um, with saying things against the manager, that it is, as he puts it, in his words, fucking unforgivable. Which is right. It's absolutely right. There should never be that case whatsoever in any capacity. Um, as for the getting rid of the manager, or what they would do with the manager, Gary said that, he asked everybody else. Jamie Carragher said, um, Jamie Carragher basically said, last chance is you'll keep him, but on the final straw, right? So it's basically you can stay, but you've got to impress and you've got to do above and beyond. Keane said that he would keep him. Keane said that he would keep Ten Hag. Not final straw, but that he would probably be okay with giving him a bit of time and patience. Ian Wright's just Ian Wright. He just said, nah, sack him, sack him. I believe that it depends on what the response is. Because if you've got this takeover happening, if you've got the new people coming in and people start responding to this manager, I mean, take last night as like what we saw last night with Ten Hag, his influence on that team, that's just a little taster. It's very small. It's very almost insignificant, but that's exactly it. That's what he can do. And that's what having a proper system and setup behind him is the right tools and backing and the right mindset in and around the club, where it's always professional, it's always hardworking, it's always heads down, giving it your all, right? From your training days to the match days, just constantly on it. I'm interested to see what does Ten Hag do in that environment. And people say that Ten Hag, his responsibility um, on transfers, like the identifying of targets, the identifying of the scouting, who he signs, who he doesn't sign. I think that irrespective is going to be taken away from Eric. It's going to be taken away from Eric because that's what Ratcliffe wants. He wants a structure. He wants excellency. Jean-Claude Blanc probably wants the same. He probably wants there to be someone to say, Eric, your job is managing. That's your squad. Those are your players. Tell us what kind of players you want. We'll get them for you. Talk to us about your ambitions, your styles, what your intentions are. Show us all of those things. Speak to us about all of those things. Tottenham Hotspur are now losing, by the way. West Ham have just scored a second goal. Unfortunate. Unlucky. Unlucky. Anyways, who scored that goal? Let's have a look. So Jared Bowen scored the equaliser, and James Ward-Prowse. Henry right in the mud. Man said that he didn't think West Ham were going to score today. Well, it's happened. What's happened over here? God only knows. Henry Wright is in the mud, man. Henry Wright is in the mud. From 1-0 up to 2-1 down at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And, it's still peak out here. It's still peak out here. But for me, I would stick with keeping him for now. But I would say that because of the setup and the structure of what this club can be, will probably sway how I judge the situation with the manager. And I think, as I've said, I've refuted my points a lot. Reiterated them a lot. I don't see picking and choosing managers to be the right man for the club when the club isn't right itself. It's like, a right and a wrong. It's like whichever is the more prevalent of the two factors. And United is a predominantly wrong thing, and there's more of it. So you put one right in there, eventually it's going to become wrong. But if you can fix the big wrong into a right, you've got both of those rights to perhaps complement each other. And maybe that happens. Maybe Ten Hag starts playing some scintillating style of football because the structure sells the players that are no good and signs the players that are good, that do complement the system, that do complement what the manager wants. And perhaps Ten Hag might even say to these guys in meetings, that was my original intent to play football this way. Do you know what? I'm actually all set and good to go the other way now. I'm actually fancying to take this, properly implement an Ajax style of play now. Because if you guys are going to help me build that, then I've got all reason in the world to, persist with playing a certain way. Whether it works out or not so much. At least you know that you're preparing that squad or evolutionizing that squad to be much more set and well fitting for what it is that you want to play. So it's going to be intriguing. It's going to be intriguing. Ten Haggy Bear. Yeah, man. Kara and Neville are media donkeys. I mean, for the most part, they are. I mean, it sparked my curiosity because I saw the title, so I wanted to, hear what it is that they had to say about it. But yeah, I'll have to see. We'll have to see where the combos go. Football Bounce channel, good to see you, man. How are we doing? How we doing? Everybody in the chat, make sure you do drop Football Bounce channel a subscription. Arsenal supporter, does good content with other content creators as well in the Arsenal sphere, but also present on watch-alongs. He was present last night on the watch-along for Man United Chelsea, as was on a Tony Claude Gunners watch-along for the Arsenal Luton game the day before. So he's good work rate there, and hats off to him. Does a very good job. And make sure to go show him some love as well in the chat. Big ups to Football Bounce there. Get in, hammers. Arsenal fans are going to be loving this. Absolutely loving this, hopefully. hopefully for all of our sakes, and for United's sake, by the way, that Spurs stay losing. We'll touch wood that it carries on the way it is. Um, and yeah, it's very Spursy. It absolutely is. Very, very much Spursy. Big ups to Mama Flossie. Amarali Ghaznavi. Big up, man. Been a while, but hello, everyone. Good to see you again, man. It has been a long while, but hope everything's well with you. Amadiano apparently has returned to United, back to first team training. Yes, he has, which is a good positive. A younger player, someone who's perhaps got quite a bit of fight, a bit of desire to sink his teeth into first team football, and another player to really push Anthony to his limits and see just how far just see how far we can go. So it's going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing the dilemmas with Amad Diallo if we have him back fully fit, once he is back fully fit and all of that stuff. Big up, Bance. Big ups, big ups, big ups. Smash the like buttons. Yes, please do. It will be a massive boost to the channel, and I do massively appreciate all the love and support you guys show on the streams. So big ups to everybody who does. Love you all. West Ham are beating Spurs. Spurs are back. Yeah. I mean, there's still time. There's still time that Spurs could answer back and get another equalising goal. But yeah, it's one of those. What do we think of Tottenham? Shit. What do we think of shit? Tottenham. Thanks for that. That's all right. We hate Tottenham. We hate Tottenham. We hate Tottenham. Uh, that was a banging chant. The best place to enact that chant is in a school assembly at secondary school. Just absolutely belt that one out. You'll get absolutely bollocked by your teachers, but it was great. 4 in 5 now. Is that 4 losses in 5 games for Tottenham? Oh man, if they lose this game, of course, they could still get away with it. They could still get away with it, but let's hope. Can't believe Klopp's revived Liverpool twice somehow. We're second in December. Need Liverpool to sign a centre-back in January because Matip's out for a while, or else we are not getting the title. I mean, centre-backs, maybe. I think you could go for 2 signings. I think a centre-back and a DM. Someone that's better than Endo, I would say. If you can get someone better than Endo, you've got Endo there to rotate with. Get another centre-back in. Mate, I think you might actually be sweet for the title. Because I mean, God only knows that bloody Man City are going to get their act together after 2 shots all game against Aston Villa. 2 shots, not just on target, just 2 shots. Like, they literally kicked a ball towards Martinez twice in 90 plus minutes. Mad stuff. Absolutely mad stuff. Spurs ain't back. They never left. That's true. Spurs are always with us in spirit. Big up DJ Crane. Big ups to Tony Ibarra. We are on the good stuff tonight. We are on the good stuff tonight. Cheers to you all. Cheers to you all in chat. And thank you for joining me on this rather fine, it's a bit of a wet, but a fine Thursday night. So big ups to everybody. Some blocks there, which are emojis, which my YouTube playback shows me, but not my not my StreamYards. Is that McToomany chocolate milk? Maybe. I mean, it's not making me feel any more Scottish. not quite feeling any bit more patriotic for my country, not quite making love to a Union Jack anywhere anytime soon. So I think I'm all right for the meantime. But man was crazy. Literally saw Chelsea blue shirts and thought, Scotland, and started pulling out all the stops to start scoring goals. Mental performance that. This title race is crazy, man. Arsenal, Liverpool, and in some way, Aston Villa. Somehow, Aston Villa have managed to end up there. You never would have thought it, right? Never, ever, ever would have thought it. I mean, the fact is they are 4 points behind leaders Arsenal, 2 points behind Liverpool. This is just crazy, absolutely crazy. The fact that they even lost their opening game of the season 5-1 to Newcastle. They got absolutely steamrolled in the first game. And they're third place in the league and, looking very good. Looking very good. Wolfie. Woo! Agreed. And Endo's been playing more and comfortably too. He scored a goal versus Fulham and did well and played brilliant against Sheffield. I think he's one of them soldier, the good soldier players, the ones that you never really question or doubt their efforts. You might question their abilities, but you never doubt their efforts. And if he's got a team around him, that has got quality, it's he can compensate for a good balance. Can we just appreciate what Emery has done with Aston Villa? He's fixed Gerrard's mess straight up. He absolutely has. Well, I mean, that's the thing. Because I made a vivid comparison between Aston Villa being a bit like a Villarreal, similar levels of score quality. Prior to the summer, of course, I think they're probably a better team than Villarreal, but I think making them almost a cup team, a specialized cup team, and the fact that they're in the Europa Conference League, I think Emery would love to get the Aston Villa team winning that trophy. And you know what? If he does do it, I would say, well, you know what? Not surprised. Not surprised at all. It's in that guy's DNA. Win those European trophies, win the side quests, complete the side quests before you take on the big boss. If you can't compete for the biggest prizes, there's a lot of other competitions that you can win on the side. And you know what, Aston Villa, fair plays to them if they get a trophy this season as well. They'll be on to something. If Villa win the title somehow, make it to the UCL, what an incredible story this would be. It'll be crazy, mental stuff, absolute madness if Aston Villa were to win a Premier League title. I don't think it's going to happen. I mean, there's still the entire second half of the season to go. It's like FIFA career modes. It's like you'll get halfway through a save in the season, and for some reason, Everton are sat in like second place or first place, and you're like, what the fuck? You get to about March, April time, and they're all the way down in 14th again, and you're just like, okay, well, that happened. Things like that might happen. We'll have to see. It's a bit of a baffler, but I do back Unai Emery to do really, really well. Bro, that word Villa does something to Unai Emery. It's like his blue pill. Yeah. Do you know what? Aston Villa? Maybe that's what it is. It's like Aston Villa. From Villarreal to Aston Villa. It's gone from that to that. From strength to strength. And you know what? Hats off to whatever it is that he's able to do with that team. I'll big him up even more. I'll kiss Aston Villa ass even more if they just lose to us coming up, right? Aston Villa at home, just lose to us, please. Just lose that game. and let us beat you at your place. We don't care if you win everything um, outside of that. Just let us win. Just let us win, and we'll be sweet. Some howling going on in the chat. Howling going on in the chat. Everton battered Newcastle. I mean, I'll have to look at see what it is people are saying about the game, because I mean, Everton with less possession. Yeah, man, it's 21 attempts with 6 on target to Newcastle's 12 with 3 on target. More possession, way more passes. Everton with fewer passes achieved almost the same amount of attacks as Newcastle did with, 88 attacks. 56 of them were dangerous. And Newcastle with 92 attacks and only 44 of them were dangerous. So Everton, if that, with way more passes than Everton, tells me Everton were way more direct. Much more direct, no nonsense, just straight down the middle. Unai is class. He's shown it over the years. He absolutely has. He absolutely has. He knows how to use his players, how to get the best out of them. Love him as Chelsea manager. It'll be interesting. I mean, I'd be tempted to know how he would do with the Chelsea team. We'll have to see. Well, I mean, he had a shot. He had a bite at the cherry with Arsenal. That didn't go well. But then his toxic team that got Arsenal to a European final for the first time in a long time. His team ended up winning an FA Cup under the stewardship of Mikel Arteta. Mikel Arteta's teams came along and they started, playing well in the league to not win anything. Swings and roundabouts. Crying man, the point deduction unlocked this Everton. It has. And you know what? I said this before the points deduction, or well, just after the points deduction, before like people started going mad, like batshit crazy about this. If you're Everton, you don't panic. You don't panic. You're coming into form at a good time. You're getting wins. Your 10 points deduction, a lot of people are saying, oh yeah, Everton, they're down. They're finished. They're gone. Everton are now on to 10 points with their result today. Out of the relegation zone. 3 points behind Nottingham Forest, who they beat recently. They have got, in the last 5 games, 3 wins, 1 draw, 1 defeat. -2 goal difference, man. They're doing all right. They're doing all right. And here's the kicker, by the way. If not for Everton's 10-point deduction, here's a really big kicker and a bit of a hook, line, and sinker for Chelsea fans. If it wasn't for a 10-point deduction, Everton would currently be sat above Chelsea. They would be sat in 10th place. Yep, that's where they would be. They would literally be above Chelsea. That is madness. Chelsea would be in 11th. West Ham, who with the current result, the way it is, would move up onto 24 points. So they'd be 4 points behind West Ham in 9th place. They'd be 7 points behind us. Everton would be in a really decent position. So, yeah, man. Trippier mistakes I'm hearing. Chucking Spurs dropping points has been a great round of results for us. Big ups, Big T, man. I see that profile picture, by the way, that Scott McTominay profile picture with everything on fire. There's there must have been like the type of music Scott McTominay was listening to. Maybe he's just listening to death metal before the game. It's just like, you know what? I'm going to reciprocate this music on the pitch, and just decided, you know what? Fuck it. Let's kick. What we like most is kicking the blue. Stephanie Griffith, great to see you. I hope you're doing well. Big up Opfuzz and chat. Big ups everybody. They would have been higher. Yep. 7 likes. Yep, we are currently on 7 likes. Get them likes up. Let's try and hit 10. If you're watching on playback, then please do also hit the like there. That would be massively appreciated. Thank you to everyone who does. And all of that good stuff. Big ups to Big T and Steph, 100%. Yeah, Trippier was terrible that game. He made 2 mistakes. 2 mistakes from Trippier. Ooh. I think he should go to the away ends and get in their faces again and see how he fares that time around. See if he can use the injury excuses again. Arsenal, he had no time or money. He didn't have quite the backing that someone like a Mikel Arteta has. And that's an interesting question. With the amount of money Arteta has spent, or had spent for him, if you gave that kind of spending to Unai Emery, what would Emery's team look like right now? What would an Unai Emery Arsenal football team look like with that amount of spending done to it? You know, beggars belief. Smash some likes. Yeah, on to 8 likes. Hopefully we are getting to 8 likes. First 6 months at Arsenal, never spent a penny. No. And you know what? There's this big winning run of form as well, by the way, that they went on. It was like 22 games unbeaten. 22 games without losing. And Arsenal fans were chanting, "We got our Arsenal back. We've got our Arsenal back." That went to pot real quick. Real quick. Just said it, yeah. Everton have cause now determined to stay up. Well, I mean, it's probably not even a case of, staying up for the Everton. It's just, right, carry on. Business as usual. Just, pick up points where we can. Win games where we can. West Ham have just beaten Tottenham Hotspur away from home. That result is now confirmed. Spurs in the mud. Henry Wright in the mud. That guy said West Ham would not score today. They would not score today. It was like, James Ward-Prowse, yeah, man, he's good, but I just had the feeling they're not going to score today. Isn't football and fate and fortunes a wonderful thing? Isn't it a wonderful, lovely thing? Listen, Spurs channels meltdowns tonight, people. You know where to be. You know where to be tonight. You're in the right place right now. And when I wrap this up in a few, I'm going to let y'all go and bathe in them Spurs tears. I'll let you all go and enjoy the Spursy tears. And I'm going to join you in every step of the way. Spurs fans leaving already? Yeah, man, I thought there were big ups on the Ange Ball. I thought they were up on the Ange Ball. What's happened? It's only Friday tomorrow. I mean, crikey. Could be more points deduction coming for Everton if compensation puts them into administration, I heard. Ooh, I do not know. I have not actually looked into further deductions for Everton. But if they do get hit with another deduction, there's going to be even more protests. That for a fact. That'll be crazy. Hot Fuzz, if City tie or lose to Luton at Luton's home ground, are they in a crisis? I would want to say no, just simply because it's Manchester City. There's not really this essence of everyone's in panic stations. I just think that maybe it's just one of those things where the club might say, right, okay, we are not performing what we need to be doing. Listen, we'll get to January, we'll reinforce this team, and if we are not doing well by the end of the season, if we are in a bad position by the end of the season, then we can start asking some questions. I think it's going to be mental. I mean, Manchester City. Can you imagine this? Manchester City were to lose to Luton, and we win against Bournemouth over the weekend. We are tied on points with Manchester City. They've won a treble. We're in the worst club state that we have been in almost ever. And we are literally, as it stands, 3 points behind them. We could end up tied on points if they were to, you know, screw it up against Luton, which I'm sure they won't. I'm sure they won't. They should get a win there. The FA needs a 100-point deduction, crooks. They just need to, wrap up the FA, the Footballing Association, rebirth the Footballing Association with a brand new face, brand new, pretty much just brand new everything, to be honest. Start the FA from scratch. City will always be a second half of the season team. That's the thing as well, is they're usually around this point of the season, not doing so well. I think it's when Pep changes something or they get a signing or two in January, things start to click. And I think with KDB, if he comes back, if Rodri goes back into that team, they are better. When KDB goes back into that team, they're even better. So I think a big misses there. Without Rodri's defensive stability, without KDB's creativity, they're nothing. Well, it looks that way. I mean, with their alternatives, you've got Matthias Nunes, you've got Kovacic, Bernardo Silva. I mean, Bernardo Silva's all right. He's good. He does good work for City. But the other two, I mean, Kovacic, Nunes, I think those are two players that were signed to almost try and replace Gundogan. But Gundogan's just, I think he's also going to be a big miss for Manchester City. Whether either of those two players can actually pull the finger out for Manchester City come the second half of the season, we'll have to see. We will have to see. Big Ange gave the Spurs fan an Australian kiss when he first landed in England. Mate, Tottenham fans started singing Robbie Williams when he first landed in England. Ange will get him found out. It's at 1 point in 5 for Spurs. It is 1 point in 5. Bloody hell. Winning football matches is massive. Draws are like losses. And that's the thing. We've not drawn games. We've either won them or lost them. And that's the thing. On a game basis of 3 games, it is better, right, to fight to lose 2 games and win 1 than it is to fight hard, get a draw in 2 of them, and then lose the next one. Or, better yet, if you draw 3 games on the bounce, right, that's the same points accumulation as having an out of form 1 game win, 2 games lost. So to me, it's like you'd say a 1 win in 3 is more of a losing form, but it's the same points accumulation as 3 draws. But people, are draws wins or are they losses? And that's why I call them josses. Now, you lose more in a draw than you win. I think we've only won 1 less game than Liverpool. That's an interesting point. Let's have a look. That'll be interesting to see. Very, very interesting indeed. That is true. That is absolutely true. We've won 9 games. They've won 10. They've lost only once. They've accumulated 4 draws instead, as opposed to us losing 6. Win 9, lose 6. Oh, crikey. Goodness gracious me. But yeah, man. Crazy, crazy stuff. Big ask, but we could enter the new year in top 4. Absolute madness. It's possible. It is possible, but we've got some real tough games to get through. And if we come out the other side of this tough run of fixtures and we stay in a good, reasonable position, I've got to applaud Ten Hag. I've got to applaud him because he's got a squad of players, you know, that have got a couple of bad apples in there trying to get him sacked. That man's, fighting he's currently in the midst of a war against players versus manager, the power struggle that has always favoured players since Ferguson has left. Ten Hag would still be keeping this club's seasonal position with their head above water. I mean, that would be ridiculous. That would be massively ridiculous. But if he's able to do it, hats off to him. Luton have Liverpool and Arsenal, a game not beyond the realms of possibility. They give City a game. Very much possible. Very, very much possible. We'll have to see how Luton turn up. Fuzzy Pep has been on the phone. He wants McTominay to replace Rodri. Well, I'll tell you what, McTominay would actually score them some goals. Maybe if Scott McTominay was playing for City against Aston Villa, they might have actually scored a goal or two. Maybe Aston Villa don't win against City. The Scott McTominay factor can't be ignored. That's why I give Ten Hag Reddit. Oh, Christ, can you imagine Ten Hag going through Reddit posts? I know you meant credit there. But your Champions League campaign was a joke. Mate, we scored a lot of goals in Champions League. We've just conceded a stupid amount. A ridiculously stupid amount. And maybe we are, if we were to simply fix up the defence and midfield in Champions League, our Champions League campaign could have been a lot better. We've scored the right amount of goals to go out to win the games that we had in Champions League. But we've conceded the amount of goals that would be necessary to put us in last place in our Champions League group. And let's say, for example, if we beat that Chelsea team with that level of energy, if we approach these games with good energy, if we play like that against Chelsea like we do, if we play against Bournemouth like we did against Chelsea with the high energy, high tempo, high pace, all of that stuff, that direct high attacking work rates, high defensive work rates, if we play like that, that buying game, the perception changes. That buying game, that looks like it becomes a winnable game. Because let's be real, post Newcastle, we're probably looking at the games like Chelsea like, oh no, we're going to get slapped. We look at games like Bayern, going to get slapped. Look at games like Liverpool, we're going to get slapped. Absolutely clarted. But then you see these kind of positives, and it gets you sort of more perked up. So, you know what? Is plausible. Whether we actually qualify from the group, because we massively need to rely on other results to go our way, which is never really the way to live life. Never really the way to live life in the slightest. Champions League campaign is not over yet. It's not impossible to qualify, but I believe realistically we probably screwed the pooch a little too much in the recent times. For Champions League, it's too late, possibly, most likely. Yes, but against us. That's the thing. Sometimes you've made games competitive. We couldn't finish. That was a little lucky for you. Every game is different. I mean, we were lucky we didn't concede against you. You were lucky not to concede 8 to us. I mean, Scott McTominay, realistically, should have scored 4 goals. Scott fucking McTominay should have had 4 goals against Chelsea. Fuck whatever Chelsea that is. Scott McTominay scoring 4 goals in a game of football. That's never, if that happens, mate, the Illuminati is real. the sun's going to explode, we're all going to die, there's going to be a supermassive black hole probably down the street from me, like a whole fabric of reality would just start destabilizing and collapsing in and of itself. No, like, these are weird times. These are mad weird times in football. Scott McTominay's potentially having the ability to score 4 goals. Just, my brain wants to explode just to even try and compute that. Kudos, big ups, man. Good to see you. Good to see you. Shame about today, isn't it? Shame about tonight. It's didn't quite go so well today, unfortunately. Didn't quite. How's your big edge ball doing today? How's it doing today? But big ups, man. Hope you're well. We couldn't finish. We had 26, 27 shots and only scored 2. We had 28 attempts with 9 on target. Bro Jackson from 2 years out should score. I know that. Fuzzy knows that. Knows it. Yeah, he should score it, but he didn't. Oh, I get that, bro. We should have scored 4. You should have scored 4, but you didn't. Like I said, it was an ugly watch. Well, I think it was ugly for various instances. I think for the various moments in the game, I think first half most especially was very sloppy. I think beginning of second half was more in your favour, but then the rest of the game sort of went our way. So, swings and roundabouts again. But Fuzzy, I think we need to put a solid midfielder behind MC Naldo. Now I'm watching get 20, 25 goals. Oh my God, imagine. Scott McTominay were to actually start scoring goals for fun. I mean, the guy's already, with his 2 goals against Chelsea, has now bettered any of his goal scoring tallies in any of his seasons at the club. Already. We're not even halfway through the season yet. Spurs are back. Kudos. They are. They're absolutely back. The Spurs everyone knows and loves is back. Oh. Well, it is Christmas time. It is coming up Christmas time. They're getting the charity. Yeah, it's the time of year to gift. Just gift people their points. All of that good stuff. You got worse in the second half. You did. Didn't watch the game as I slept in, but I heard we were unlucky. Well, that's the thing. I'm going to wrap up the show in a couple of minutes, but I'm going to go watch and see what meltdowns have occurred in the Tottenham Hotspur fan base. Did we dodge a bullet with Poch? I think with Pochettino, it's a vibes thing. It would have been a vibes thing. And I think if it's a vibes thing, maybe these players would have an easier ride again. And maybe these problems don't really rear their ugly heads until later on. And I think I'm sort of... I think we'll get to a point in hindsight, if we look back in hindsight, that we could be glad to look back and say that we had a manager that seemingly brought all of these problems to a head in such a way that everyone's sort of like, wow, now we know what's going on. Now we can see what the problems are. And now we know that we've got people coming in to fix those problems. We can look back in hindsight and say, well, you know what? I'm kind of glad that Ten Hag was here. Kind of glad. And so I think if we get to have a point where we do look back in hindsight and say that, then I'll be glad for it. So he's going to go drink tears. I've already started. Man. Not Poch's fault. I think he's a good manager. I got a nursery for a football team. Yeah, man. Preschool football teams. under nines football team or something. Mate, there's not enough experience in that Chelsea team, man. Not enough. Not enough experience in leaders or elite mentalities. It's very inexperienced, very rough around the edges. But anyways, guys, I'm going to wrap the show up there. I'm going to let people go and enjoy the rest of their Thursday nights. Big ups to everybody for tuning in. Really appreciate all the love and support you guys have shown. On 8 likes, if you're watching on playback, make sure to smash them likes up. And let's get to 10. Let's do it. Let's set that target. Let's get to 10. Let's make it happen, people. Massively helps out the channel, completely free to do, and it pushes us up the algorithm. It gets us on the map, puts us on the map, sets us as an ideal destination for people looking for their content fix. Welcome them in here, engage in spark raving mad conversations and whatnot, and entertainment. It's interactive entertainment, and that's what we like to live for on the YouTube sphere, on this YouTube game. So big ups to everybody who does show the love and support to the channel, as well as all the regulars that are always there in chat. Big ups to everybody for tuning in. Under 23s literally 100%. Big up the fuzz. Big ups to you, Wolfgang Division. Big ups to everybody else in the chat. Big T, Kudos, Mama Flossie, Stephanie Griffith, Football Bants channel, Tony Ibarra, Amarada Ghaznavi. Big ups to all of you, Anthony Herbert as well. I'm only in the stream. Big ups to everybody. Thank you very much for tuning in and making the show a special one. Especially with these guys here who do their own channels. Wolfgang Division, Football Bants channel, Anthony Herbert as well. All guys doing their own channels. Make sure to go subscribe to them. Go show them some love and support as well. Spread the love around. Show all the support that you can to all of those people who could do with it. And we all rise together. We all rise, we all grow, we all go places together, and it is a fantastic, fantastic community as well. So very, very, very big ups to everybody for that. And that's it from me for tonight. Take care, everybody. We toast to West Ham and to Everton. We toast to those two tonight. On their victories over respective opponents. And we will see you again on the next one. Preview for the Bournemouth game will be coming up as well. Probably going to have to be tomorrow, as we play on Saturday, and tomorrow's Friday. So preview is probably going to be on the cards tomorrow night. So see me back here tomorrow, and we'll get stuck into the Bournemouth game. Anyways, take care, everybody. Good night, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.